The Blues Fan Forum podcast is presented by Interstate 70 Sports Media Group. I-70 strives to bring you the best sports coverage in the tri-state area. Find them on Facebook or at interstate70sports.media.
This is Jordan Bennington, and you're listening to the Blues Fan Forum podcast.
On the ice, under St. Louis city lights, where the Blues play with all their might. Jordan Cairo, fast on the attack, but defense falters, gotta cut him some slack. In rubber tongues, we find our glory. His skills shine, the team's best story. St. Louis Blues, we wear the crest. In Jordan Bennington, we put our trust to the test. On the ice, we fight.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode 164 of the Blues Fan Forum podcast, your source for Blues news, views, and fan interviews. Presented by Scooter's Coffee. Blues fans can score amazing drinks like the signature Caramelicious, served hot, iced, or blended, with world-class espresso, fruit smoothies, Scoot energy infusions, and so much more. That is amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Scooter's Coffee. I took a week off, but I have returned. I am back. We are still have Dakota here. Dakota, what do you have to say for just what you're wearing right now?
I feel pretty good. I feel confident. Go Knights. After the series is over, I return to my pedestal of becoming the ultimate Blues fan. But right now, I'm riding high. You should be too. You got something in the fight. You got Carolina. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but you're all about Carolina's bandwagon.
I just want good hockey. I think I'm rooting for Carolina. I'm not going to be disappointed if Vegas wins. I've mentioned this before. I'm just jealous, I guess, of how good Vegas has been in their short career, and that's why I don't want them to win again. Where I don't think Carolina's been kind of getting kicked out of the playoffs for a couple years now, so it's their turn.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm pulling for both teams. I think this is a really good matchup. I think they're both evenly matched. I know Vegas came in; they should not have been in this position, but Rob Brind'Amour has done an incredible job for that organization. They put together a hell of a lineup, and it doesn't matter whoever wins this series; they both deserve to win. And Vegas has won early and often. The Carolina, I believe the last time they won was 2006. So, hey, good teams. Would love to see Rob Brind'Amour get one, but if Vegas gets another, they really did show what the NHL can do with an expansion team. They really have done everything well. They've drafted well, but they've more or less traded well. Like, this team is built off of trades.
Yeah, they've gotten some late round sleepers, but I think they've only had one first round pick because they keep trading all their first round picks, but they're trading these first round picks for high end quality NHLers that then also are either already signed long term and then signed long term and continue to stay there. So there's only a couple players I think still on the Vegas team that came from the expansion draft.
Yeah, only a couple though. Only a couple.
So the rest of them are free agency drafts, or the big trades would be a lot of them. We'll kind of get into the NHL playoffs and how that's going, but real quick, there was just some basic kind of news that the Blues shared today, and that is that Mikko Koivu, former captain of the Minnesota Wild, is taking over as our European scout. So for those of you not super in depth to all the positions of the St. Louis Blues organization, he is replacing Alexander Steen. So that was the position that Steen had, which is why we have so many Swedish-born players on our team, including Otto Stenberg and Theo Lindstein. And Dvorsky was not Swedish born, but was playing in the Swedish league. So we'll see if Koivu keeps up the Swedish connection for the St. Louis Swedish Blues or not. Go ahead.
It's crazy to say, but like I don't think Steen was doing a bad job. Great that he got promoted, but man, what an absolute replacement! Mikko Koivu being a part of our bringing in the youth and Europe. That's, I mean, what a steal. I mean, not saying that he wouldn't have helped Minnesota, but he was just an absolute lethal unit on the ice. I'm very excited to see what he does for our scouting.
Yeah, that man definitely knows his hockey, and then just going to be from the area, so he's going to know where to find good prospects. He's probably already has connections in those parts of the world, so I don't really see how it could be a bad signing. It's only good news for the St. Louis Blues. And then the only other very, very minor thing is Will Cranley signed a one-year deal, so he will still be playing in either the AHL or ECHL. I think it's going to depend on what happens with Zarenko and what happens with, I believe it's Georgiev. In the AHL, or what happens in the NHL. And if Jordan Binnington is still around, maybe they think, they being Doug and Alexander Steen, think that Georgiev is ready after his AHL run in the playoffs that they just had. They kind of did that on, that's what, Gorgy Romanov. I always get that mixed up. Thank you, Sam. Sam said it's Georgy Romanov. Georgiev used to play in the NHL. I think played for the Colorado Avalanche, I think. And I always like kind of take his first name and last name and mix them together. But Romanov is the player. So after his run in the AHL playoffs, maybe Jordan Binnington is more easier to get rid of because you can trust Romanov as a backup to Hofer. But I don't know. We'll get to trades later. But that's kind of the only news-ish that has happened. Besides that, let's talk NHL playoffs. Dakota, why don't you just go ahead and break down the Vegas Golden Knights Colorado series?
I wanted to touch on something before we got crazy, but we did hear who won the James Norris. Zach Werenski. Oh, yeah. So we did talk about that last time. Good to see that happen, but damn, it was hard to pick a winner. They all deserved it to win that trophy, but that was just a small little tidbit I wanted to add. But break down the series. I mean, where the hell do I start? Carolina just absolutely made the Stanley Cup playoffs their bitch. I think a lot of us kind of expected that coming into it. Carolina just was firing all cylinders. I mean, to go 8-0 to start your playoff run is quite amazing. I mean, they ran into a buzzsaw in Montreal just for one game, but I mean, they just made light work of the Eastern Conference, and good for them, right? They're going to run into another buzzsaw called like Las Vegas Golden Knights, because I do think that it's hard to kind of compare play. It's hard to kind of compare West versus East. Who on the East reminds you of Vegas, right? Who would they have played already in the Eastern Conference playoffs that remind you of a Vegas Golden Knights team? I don't think they've played one so far. I don't think they've really had much competition.
Yeah. The only one I could come close with would be like a Boston, but I don't even know. I'm almost thinking like an old school Boston, not even a Boston now. So,
that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is like it's kind of hard to measure competition in the East because I don't really think that Carolina has seen something like that so far. And that's why I think this matchup will be evenly matched. I think the best two teams advanced. I will say Colorado probably should have been here, but they ran into Vegas and they didn't really have anything to give them. I think Vegas kind of came out hot. I think Colorado ran out of steam. I mean, to lose like that as a President's Trophy winner and somebody who definitely ran away with the West. I mean, it's really hard to kind of explain that. I'm sure a lot of people had, sports bets that flopped pretty hard. But as far as the series is concerned, guys to watch out for: Mitch Marner on the Vegas Golden Knights and Stankoven for Carolina. Those guys, I think, are going to be your Conn Smythe runaways if it ends up being either one side. But I mean, if we really want to talk goaltending, I think that should be something that's talked about. I mean, Carter Hart for Vegas, he he's got a big chip on his shoulder. He's coming back into the league. He was reinstated. He's coming back. He's trying to earn his stripes with an organization. And what better way to do that than lead your team into the Stanley Cup Finals? And on the other side, I'm going to absolutely just ruin this. But on the other side, Frederick Anderson. Thank you. What an absolute unit. I mean, 12-1 with a 1.41 GAA and 3 shutouts. Like, what?
Isn't he old too? He's 36. Yeah. I don't know if that's old, but he's up there. He's been around for a while.
Those are video game numbers. 12-1 in the Stanley Cup playoffs, mind you, and he's got a 1.41 GAA. Like, that just, I mean, and then Carter Hart, nothing to be ashamed about, 12-4 with a 2.22. He has no shutouts on the board, but for Frederick Anderson to have 3 shutouts and they've only played 13 games, like, that's insane. Again, they made light work of the Eastern Conference. I'm curious to see what kind of style of play is to be had. Vegas has a lot of your showy players, you know, your Jack Eichels, I'll even throw Barbashev, Diorfiev in there as well. But they're a gritty team. I think they play like a blue style of hockey. They're going to hit you, and they're going to hit you hard. They're going to play the wall. They're going to get you in the neutral zone. They play forecheck heavy. If you looked at the Colorado Avalanche games, Colorado, it seemed that they had no time and space. And when they did, there was always a guy on them. I think it was a heavily penalized game or series, but Vegas played them very hard. Vegas didn't allow them to get an inch. And I do think that Carolina plays the same style as Colorado. So I'm curious if they're going to take what basically a carbon copy of Colorado series and just put it on Carolina.
Yeah, I like Vegas's kind of death by 1,000 cuts approach, which was the Blues in 2019. And that you could make that argument that is why the Avalanche played so poorly, is because I'm pretty sure Cale Makar was playing injured for most of that series, if not all that series. I don't know if Colorado has released their injuries since their season has ended, but normally like a team comes out and is like, oh yeah, this guy had this and this guy had this. So I'd be interested to see what that is. But that's just not, I mean, Colorado being a speed and skill team going up against a team that in Vegas that still has speed and skill, but also has the hitting ability. And, you know, that, like I said, death by 1,000 cuts. We'll see if Vegas can do that to Carolina. That might be Carolina's only kind of help or scouting in this instance, is they can look and see what Vegas did to them or what Vegas did to Colorado, because they're probably going to do something similar for Carolina. Carolina is a speed and skill. They just have, I think they have a little bit more muscle on Carolina. But they also do have some young, like Logan Stankoven's not a big guy. Jackson Blake is not a big guy. So they do have some smaller skilled players.
What I'm curious to see, and this is something that we talked about at the beginning of the Stanley Cup playoffs, is, you know, how good your special teams has to be going into the playoffs and what your special teams has to do during the playoffs. And one of the things I want to touch on is the team stats. So Carolina right now has a 12.5% power play percentage. Technically, it ranks 12th, so pretty far at the bottom of the list. And then you have Vegas is at 23.9%, right? So they haven't done the greatest, but they haven't been the worst. And so I do think it's to become a special teams series in a way, because the penalty kill for Carolina is second best. So you have a decent power play versus a really good penalty kill, and then you have a horrible power play versus a mediocre penalty kill. So if they play 5-on-5 hockey, then great, none of this matters. But you're going to get some chippy penalties. You're going to take some over time. It could be a battle of who kills it and who doesn't. And for right now, Vegas is doing pretty well, and Carolina not so much. And I'd be really, really shocked if, you know, the team stats after this series don't, you know, look kind of identical to how they look right now.
What are your thoughts on, if you just like pull up the bracket and kind of look at the way that these two teams got in, and the fact that Vegas kind of got a cakewalk and I think we've talked about this before, but now that we know which two teams are actually in the finals, Vegas has a cakewalk playing Utah, Anaheim, and then not a cakewalk. It shouldn't have been a cakewalk against Colorado, but ended up being one. And then Carolina gets a cakewalk of sweeping Ottawa, sweeping Philly, and then just losing one game to Montreal before making it in there. If you look at the bracket and just pay attention to NHL hockey, you can see that like Dallas and Minnesota would have had a very hard time. Even Montreal had a very hard time getting through Tampa Bay, hard time getting through Buffalo. They might have just been gassed by the time that they reached Carolina. Colorado had it easy off the start, but Minnesota was no throw in, even though they took them down 4-1. So what are your thoughts on the routes that these two teams took to get to the Stanley Cup Finals?
I'll touch on this early and often. I just don't like how the NHL has structured the playoffs now. I really don't. I think it. What their thought was it was going to just provide just ample opportunity for great hockey, so end-to-end hockey, and that's not what you got this year. There was too many series that didn't go 7 games, 6-7 games, right? Hey, Colorado sweeps LA. Colorado beats Minnesota in 5, right? Colorado loses in 4. The only real games that went to 7 games, I think you had what, 2? Yeah, 2 games.
Both
2 series.
Montreal.
Yeah,
Montreal and Tampa,
series,
and Montreal and Buffalo.
2 series went to 7 games. I mean, the Stanley Cup, like the Stanley Cup run for the Blues, I think we had 3 games set. No, we had 2 game 7s. No, we had 3. No, it was 2.
The one against Dallas, and then
and Boston,
the finals. Yep.
But that alone, and I believe there was more in that whole grand scheme of things, but that was just 2 for us. There was 2
Let me see.
Am I back?
Finals. Yeah, you are back. Like you were gone. Oh, I should probably put. I'm pulling up the bracket now. Oh, well, that doesn't really help. Blues versus Dallas, Sharks versus Avalanche, Boston versus Toronto, Carolina versus Capitals, and Sharks versus Vegas. So what was that? 5? 1,
Yeah, 5.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 6, and the finals. So 6 game 7s in the 2019 playoffs. So, but yeah, Blues did it. Blues did it in 6, did it in 7, did it in 6, did it in 7. So like there were no easy victories for us, where Boston did it 7 in round 1, 6 in round 2, swept Carolina in the conference finals, and then went to game 7 against us and lost. So yeah, but yeah, 5 game 7s versus 2. Maybe we'll get a game. Maybe we'll get a Stanley Cup final game 7. There's nothing better in sports. That's what we want. And Dakota looks frozen again, so we may have lost Dakota. I'll use this time. Sam brought up. Oh, there. Hey, he's back. Michael Bushinger, a prospect for the Blues in the AHL, I believe a defenseman, is getting ACL surgery in the AHL. He injured his knee during their playoff series against the Penguins minor league team. So send some good vibes, some prayers to Bushinger, and hopefully he's able to. I don't think he'll be ready for the beginning of the season. I think that's like a 6 to 8 month recovery. So be ready to go. As long as he doesn't do what it seems a lot of people do, is come back very early. Like take your time, get 100% healed, and then start playing hockey again. So, all right, Dakota, what are your thoughts on how this Stanley Cup Finals are going to go? Vegas versus Carolina. How do you see it? We were just talking about game sevens. Do you see it going to 7? Do you think it's going to go to 6, 5? No way it's a sweep, right? These two teams have been too dominant.
Yeah, no way it's a sweep. I think I mentioned this last week. I think I'm going to take Vegas in 6. I think Carolina's too good of a team to flop. I think they haven't ran into any competition towards the Eastern Conference, and that's, again, I'm not picking on the East. It's just statistics show
It just
the East
sucks.
tends to be fairly soft. Where the Western Conference debate is, I mean, who the fuck's going to win the Central next year? I mean, there are teams after teams after teams that are just so good, and Vegas is not even a part of the Central. So, I think Vegas in 6. Would I like to see a game 7? Absolutely. It just makes for great hockey. Obviously, I'm pulling for Vegas, but again, I just want to see good hockey, right? But Jacob's on the Carolina bandwagon, kind of, but he wants to see good hockey. I think that's what we all want to see, right? Too many sweeps. It's hard to get invested when you know night in, night out that the team's just going to get absolutely railed. I'd rather see a 3-2, 4-3, like 2-1, 1-0 type of hockey because you're fully invested for the full 60 minutes, and that's kind of all I want. I hope this kind of gives odes to, some vintage hockey that we used to see, and I say vintage, I'm going to say like 20 years ago, right? 06, right? Carolina. Those types of teams where you knew you were going to get your best effort night in, night out from every guy because this is it. This is what they grow up looking forward to, is playing for a Stanley Cup. Most of the guys on Vegas have either won 1 or won 2. I would love to see Ivan Barbashev knock his 3rd. Patty Maroon, Blues legend, got 3, 2 with Tampa, 1 with the Blues. Ivan Barbashev would be so cool to have 2 with Vegas and 1 with St. Louis. So just want to see good hockey. I think it'll be Vegas in 6, but again, I'm not going to be mad for a game 7.
Did you see that fumble there? I was getting attacked by my dog because I was not paying enough attention to him. That's my fault. Bob, sorry, Wally. Sorry. All right. Oh, he's back. I said his name. I shouldn't have done that. All right. I'm gonna stick with Carolina, but I'm gonna go game 7 just because that's the best for hockey, I think. And the longer this goes, the less we have of just dead period before the draft. So we want 7 games. That'll work best. All right, let's move over to some St. Louis Blues actually playing hockey. The IIHF World Championships just ended. A mixture of NHL players with some European players with maybe some prospects, as not all NHL players were able to play in this because the NHL playoffs is more important. So once the tournament has started, I don't think people really, if their team got out in the first round, I don't think they jump shipped and just went and played in the IIHF championships. They just said, that's okay. The Blues did have a good amount of people playing. Robert Thomas and Dylan Holloway were playing for Canada. Pia Suter was playing for Switzerland. Oscar Sundqvist actually got into the lineup for Sweden. And then Blues prospect Love Herenstam was a backup goaltender for Sweden. Herenstam did not see any action, but just kind of being there is kind of cool for, I believe, a 19-year-old. So cool for him to get the invite after having a really good season this year for a player that the Blues picked with like the, I don't know, 6th round, 7th, 5th, somewhere late in the draft. Robert Thomas and Dylan Holloway kept their connection going, and I'm not 100% sure if these stats are actually correct because I used the internet or AI to look these up, and then I went to try to fact check them myself, and some of them weren't correct. So the IIHF website is god awful to use to try to find stats on there. It lists the best performers, and it only gives you the best 30. And you can't look at any other ones. I would have, I guess, had to go to the rosters and then actually click on the names for the rosters. But I was doing it last minute, so I didn't get to that. So I do know, because I was able to fact check, Dylan Holloway played in 10 games. He had 4 goals and 2 assists for 6 points and was a +3 rating. Robert Thomas, he also played in those 10 games. He had 3 goals and 3 assists for another 6 points. Pius Suter ended up with the silver medal with Switzerland. 10 games, 7 goals, and 4 assists. See, that just has to be wrong. There's no way he had 11 points. I'm going to fact check that live on air somehow.
Gee, where the fuck was that all season?
That's what I'm saying.
Holy shit.
Let's go to teams and then to Switzerland.
I mean, hey, if this ends up being accurate, then the fucking ceiling is
not even half accurate. I don't even know where. This is why AI is not good. Pia Suter had 5 games. He scored 1 goal and 3 assists for 4 points and was a +3 rating. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah, so that's weird. Not sure how AI fumbled the bag on that one so bad. And then I won't even list Oscar Sundqvist's stats because he probably didn't have any. I guess since I'm on the page, I can pull it up.
He's the one with 11 goals or 11 points.
Oh yeah, it was him. He played in 8 games. He had 0 goals and 0 assists for a -2 rating.
He's a morale guy.
He's a locker room guy. You need those guys. And then can confirm that Harmstrom did not play in any of the games. I'm going to double check, but yeah, 0 games played. But he's also 19 playing in a men's world tournament. So that's still a pretty big deal. Finland ended up taking the gold, Switzerland the silver, and Norway defeats Canada in the bronze medal match to get their first ever world championship medal, which is pretty important. Wow. Team USA, as you would say, fumbled the bag, I think. They struggled. They did not do very well in their group, so then had to play Canada early on in the quarterfinals, and Canada still had Crosby and Ryan O'Reilly, Dylan Holloway, Robert Thomas, Macklin Celebrini. So they still had a good squad.
We can't hate because we know the U.S. dominates the Stanley Cup playoffs. So the Canadians were just taking their vacation as per usual, playing in the IHF, and we were just doing our thing in the Stanley Cup. Understood. Yeah. We'll eat this one. We took gold in Italy. We'll be fine.
And the thing that matters, and now another United States team is gonna win the Stanley Cup. So I don't know how many years it's been since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup, but it's been quite some time. So yeah, good to just see those guys continuing to play hockey. Pia Suter is a name, as I'm going to kind of transition this, a name that you don't see thrown around on trade rumors as we kind of move into the offseason here once the Stanley Cup finals are done. And it's kind of surprising because he'll be on a 1-year contract. Like he signed a 2-year at the beginning of last season. So if anybody was ever going to get moved on the St. Louis Blues, if we are not making the playoffs, it's him. Like, he's gone. So no rumors. I guess because he's only on a 1-year, you're just not going to move him during the offseason, and you'll just sell him at the trade deadline. Hopefully that doesn't come through because we are in a playoff spot. So we're actually either buying at the trade deadline or just holding pat.
But that's still something that we could easily utilize if we're trying to be better, right? Kind of toss them in there as like a little cushion deal.
Oh, like an add-on?
Yeah. I don't see why not.
Yeah, if we're trading with a team that is trying to go like all in, I think they would absolutely take Pia Suter as an add-on, especially because I don't remember what his salary is. But if with only 1 year left, you can eat half of it. So you could send him to like somebody like Edmonton who's cap strapped already and eat half of his salary. Because I don't think it's much. I thought it was like $4 million or something.
And plus with the addition of the cap going up to 112, like, fuck it, Yeah,
4.125. So you send him to Edmonton and I don't know, Jordan Kyrou for whatever. and then you eat 2 million of his, they might be okay with that.
Let's go get Draisaitl.
Get Draisaitl. We'll take him. We'll give you. Shoot, I don't even know what that would take. Oh, let me tell you guys about some cool places to buy stuff. First off, make sure you check out Scooters for that iced coffee, because iced coffee is so much better in the summer now that it's hot, because it's like 80 degrees out. Scoot around to our favorite drive-thrus on Highway 143 and Troxler Way in Highland, or at Vandalia Street and Indian Avenue in Collinsville, or you can check out any of the other 30 locations in the greater St. Louis area. That is amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast Scooters coffee. Also, do us a favor and check out Hughes Custom Design. They are a family-owned and run small business that is operated out of Maryville, Illinois, and they specialize in laser-cut, hand-painted signs, and they have options that are typically ready upon request, and they can also complete almost any request for custom jobs. So if you want that blue note hanging on your wall, if you want the birds on the bat, or if you just want your youth sports team because your kid's playing on a baseball team or a soccer team or a hockey team, they can do that. You can find them on Facebook. And then check out Imprint Labs. They specialize in bringing your brand to life with custom laser engraved Richardson hats and vibrant custom sublimated metal prints. Whether you want to make a statement with high quality headwear or showcase your designs on eye-catching metal art, they deliver precision, durability, and style every time. Elevate your brand with Imprint Labs, where your vision meets our craftsmanship. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. All right, I'm getting beaten up by my dog over here. He keeps boxing he's like, aren't you gonna pet me? All right. I kind of wanted to spend some time because the internet is going crazy right now on trade rumors. I guess because maybe they don't want to watch hockey, so they're just going to talk about future hockey of what could happen. So obviously the big one, Jordan Kyrou. Everybody wants Jordan Kyrou to be moved off the Blues. And before we get into some trade proposals or what could come our way, what could go the other way, Dakota, what's your thoughts on, do you even want Jordan Kyrou to be traded? Do you want him off this team, or are you sticking with him?
I mean, a big part of me wants him gone, and that's not because I just don't like him as an individual. It's just because it's a sport, man. It's a job. It's your livelihood, and I just don't think he acts like that. I just don't think he has the mentality that breeds an NHL talent. Like, I think he's talented. I think when he has the puck on his stick, I think anything is possible. But right now, I just don't think his mentality is with the Blues, and it goes back to how his remarks against Craig Berube, like, that showed a lot of arrogance, and it showed a lot of immaturity. And I know he just absolutely got fucking destroyed by the St. Louis Blues fans, and as he should, like, you just don't. That's not the Blues way. You don't say that kind of stuff about a former coach that helped put you in a huge position to be successful. But I just don't think he plays the right style of hockey that we are trying to kind of wrap our heads around and build an organization around too. Like we play a style of hockey that it takes a lot out of you, and I just don't think he has a lot to give these days. So I'd be curious to see what happens with his contracts. I'd be curious to see where he lands and if he lands somewhere. But if he doesn't, then he needs to really take a huge look at reality and understand that his job is to be the best St. Louis Blues player on that ice whenever he steps on there. And he's just got to do a lot of soul searching if he ends up staying with the organization.
Yeah, I am. I'm pretty confident that he's going to be moved. I guess I'm just fearful of the potential that we've seen from Jordan Kyrou finally hitting after we trade him. It's like the guy that we know that he probably should be, and then the Blues let him go. We trade him for whatever return we get, and then it doesn't work out. It would almost be kind of similar to probably what Toronto fans are feeling right now. Of they did not sign Marner And so Marner signs with Vegas, and then just seeing what Marner is doing with Kyrou. Now, I don't think Jordan Kyrou is at a Mitch Marner level. He's probably a couple tiers down, but there's definitely more to Jordan Kyrou than what we've gotten the last 2 years. And so it'd be painful to see. I'm also big on the kind of what Doug Armstrong says of like asset management. And you're trading a Jordan Kyrou when his stock is towards the bottom of it. So you're not getting as much of what you could for Jordan Kyrou, depending on what Doug Armstrong and Alexander Steen are able to pull from him. It seems like the asking price is a first round pick, a young top level prospect, and then some sort of kind of filler NHL player, maybe like a depth role or another just like low level prospect. So in my mind, they're kind of looking for the equivalent of 2.5 first round picks, somewhere in that range. Getting the first round pick, getting an actual good, young, talented player, and then throw in something else kind of on top of that.
I mean, it's just like waiting for the other shoe to drop, you know, like you say asset management. And like, I do think Doug Armstrong's one of the smartest guys in the business. Now, do I think he's made some dumb decisions in his life? Sure. Who hasn't? But when it comes to asset management, it's like, cool. So when was his ceiling high? When was it time? When was his stock high to get rid of him? His second
year, he was an all-star.
An all-star. Yeah. So again, that's
Vegas.
20.
The all-star game was in Vegas.
Yeah, was that 2022, 2021? It's one of those years. I don't think it was the same year Vegas won the Cup. I could be wrong. It might have been 23. But yeah, okay. So that would have been when his ceiling was high.
21,
sure.
22.
So actually, that sucks.
Well, that year, the next year, then he went on, because that year he had 75 points, but that was also the last year the St. Louis Blues were good. So he kind of went with them. The next year, then he scores 37 goals and 36 assists, but that's the year that he's a minus 38. So we're all kind of giving him shit for that. And then he goes with 31 goals and 36 assists, but he's a minus 12. So we're like, okay, like he didn't score as much, but he's trying to get better kind of thing. And then last year was actually a good year for him. 36 goals, 34 assists, 70 points, and a plus 23. I think if you're trading him, maybe that's when you do it, because now you're going to trade him at, instead of a 70-point player, you're trading him at a 46-point player.
Yeah.
18
that's
goals,
a tough look.
28 assists, 46 points for a minus 5. On a Blues team that did not play well, but played well at the end of the year, and Jordan Kyrou wasn't a part of that. Like,
yeah,
he was not a major factor in why this team was winning games. It was the top 3.
And the biggest eyesore of it all is his contract.
Right.
Just like Pavel Buchnevich's eyesore is his contract. It's like, it would make sense if you were like a steady Eddie player in your contract and they're like, wow, we overpaid for you, but at least we know what we're getting at. We don't know. Like, we truthfully don't know. Like, next year, Kyrou could come out and have 82 points, and we could be like, where the fuck was this? But that's the thing. Like, you're afraid of trading that away or getting rid of it and him just like catching fire, and you're like, well, that could have added value to our team. It's just, that's the nervous part about getting rid of a player like that, is, you know, he's capable, but you're just like, are you capable of doing it here, or do you need somewhere else to thrive? Which is why we always kind of toss around teams like Vegas or Edmonton or something with a little bit of firepower where the eyes aren't necessarily always on you. Where in St. Louis, like, we don't have that core group of guys that are just stars. It's Kyrou, Thomas. Now we're going to say Buchnevich, Holloway. Like, those are your guys. Like, if they aren't scoring, like, it's a problem. So maybe he does go somewhere that the eyes aren't always on him. Maybe a Toronto. He would be eaten alive in Toronto, but now that Berube's not there, that could be a good landing.
Yeah. And I mean, like, he's besides this year, the last 4 years, he's averaged 70 points. So paying $8 million for a 70-point player isn't bad. Like, you're probably hoping for the 80-point, but you're also getting 30 goals out of him. Like, besides the 18 this year, it was 36, 31, 37, 27. So, and that 27, he only played 74 games. So you're talking about a 30-goal, 70-point player that you're trying to trade, and you want to get that value from him, but he's coming off 18 goals, 28 assists, and 46 points. So if I'm another team, I'm like, yeah, I'll take Jordan Kyrou because I want the 70-point player, but I'm only paying the 46-point price because there's that variable in there. So that's where the discussions be had. And if you buy low or sell low, and another team tries to buy low, I can tell from the comments that Greg is a major Jordan Kyrou fan, big Jordan Kyrou fan. Greg prefers that Jordan Kyrou does not let the door hit him on the way out. He thinks we should have traded Jordan Kyrou a while ago, which it seems like we're kind of in agreement there of he should have been traded once we kind of realized he wasn't what we needed. For what he's getting paid, you don't notice him on the ice, and that is a problem. Yes. I do think that a sort of negative towards Jordan Kyrou is all the young guys we have coming up. Like, we've now seen how good Jimmy Snuggerud is, another winger. We have seen Otto Stenberg, and we like the way that he plays. So that's another winger. We have Dvorsky up. He's a center, but he could play the wing if we needed. We have Justin Carbonneau coming. So there are all of these other wingers, and that just kind of says, well, I can keep Jordan Kyrou and maybe be disappointed with what I have. But not only is Jordan Kyrou going to be disappointing, he's also holding up a top 6 spot for somebody like Stenberg or somebody like Carbonneau. I think Jimmy Snuggerud's now already, I'm not even going to say penciled in, he is sharpied into the first line with Robert Thomas and Dylan Holloway. So it's going to be that second line winger role of who's going to play either. I'm assuming it's going to be Dvorsky. So who's going to be up there? Is it going to be Jordan Kyrou? Is it going to be Buchnevich? Is it going to be Jake Neighbors? Is it going to be does Justin Carbonneau make the team and he gets top 6 spot? Is it Otto Stenberg? Did I miss anybody? Is there anyone else that could be playing top 6 roles? Oscar Sundqvist.
No fucking way.
So yeah. So I think that is why the movement to trade Jordan Kyrou is so big now, or is getting bigger, is you have a poor season filled with potential and younger players coming up. So quit it.
Hey, it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have.
That is a good problem to have. Especially if you can kind of retool the back line. With the blue line, the back line would be like a
because like
hockey term.
How I'm seeing this, and this might be me going too far into the fucking depths of the earth, but if the Blues open up enough cap space, we could fucking hit a home run if we're like in a decent playoff position. Like, we might be in a really good spot to buy a goaltender. We might be in a good position to buy a fucking a lockdown D. We have cap room available if we make this offseason count. If you're catching my drift, because we do have an
buyers at the trade deadline.
Yeah, we have an absolute plethora of people that we can add to our roster that's not going to cost us $1, that I know can play big time minutes and probably work cohesively, because we've talked about this. If you're building a youth heavy organization, they all play the same style of hockey. They've all grown up together. They've all played in the same backyards, the same ponds, and all that shit. They've worked on this shit for so many years. Now you're just kind of putting pencil to paper and adding them to the roster and putting them on the ice and seeing what they could do. You saw how well Jimmy Snuggerud just came out right out of college. You know, he didn't have much NHL experience, but the experience he had far outgrew what he did in his first full NHL season.
Yep. Greg brings up the idea of the St. Louis Blues moving up to the second overall pick, which is owned by the San Jose Sharks, in order to essentially pick up Ivar Stenberg. It would be what you're trading for. Is you're getting the number 2 pick, but that number 2 pick is going to be Ivar Stenberg. Do you go up there? Greg brings up that you're going to have to lose a top prospect. I think the biggest issue is San Jose is loaded in the forward position and they need D help. And that's kind of the St. Louis Blues are kind of in the same position. We aren't necessarily loaded as far as top end talent because we don't have a Macklin Celebrini, which would be why the Blues are trying to make this trade. But if the Blues want to make this trade, they're going to most likely want to move forward. They'll be like, well, you could have Jordan Kyrou, you could have maybe even Jake Neighbors if you want to get younger. They might even do a Colton Parayko since that's already been tried. And I think if you're willing to throw Colton Parayko in it, then there's movement in this trade. But if they say we want Adam Jiricek or we want Logan Mayo or we want Theo Lindstein, I don't think the Blues just don't have the depth to recover from that after they're going and getting another forward. Because then the problem is, okay, well, we got this superstar forward, which is great. We need one of them. But now we have to go trade people and find a defenseman somewhere. And sometimes that's a lot harder to do. So that could be. Which kind of brings me to my first trade idea, and the one that I've seen circulating around the interweb would be sending Jordan Kyrou to the Ottawa Senators. In return, the Blues get a first-round pick from Ottawa for next year, which I like because Ottawa is a wild card team. So there's a chance that Ottawa makes the playoffs and does well, but there's also an equal chance that they don't make the playoffs and you end up with another lottery pick. So I don't mind going and getting their 2027 first. You also get defenseman prospect Logan Hensler, who I believe was drafted before Justin Carbonneau. I know Logan Hensler was kind of in our draft range for last year. So he is a right shot defenseman, top 4 NHL potential. So if you get him and you get that first round pick, and then maybe you get, I don't know, some throw in that can play, just like another depth piece on the back end or a depth piece at forward, whatever they're willing. I think if you get those, you have a chance at, okay, maybe trading now Colton Parayko to get the second overall pick doesn't hurt as bad, because now my right side, the future of my right side looks like Logan Mayo, Adam Jiricek, Logan Hensler. And I'm like, we just need 2 of them to hit to be top 4. The other one can be a third guy. So your right side is kind of set there. That could be doable. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm completely okay with that. And the only thing that scares me is Parayko, but yeah, if everything was to work and we were to trade up and get that, Parayko would have to go. But yeah, I mean, that Ottawa pick could be huge, depending on which way they fall. Right. But I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm just ready for the next revolution of Blues hockey to be the youth. We've seen it. We've talked about it. We've heard about it. We've got to watch it from afar. But seeing what Steve Ott did with the AHL team, and some of those guys are going to make the actual NHL roster next year, we have a good 10 years in front of us where we're going to see some really good competitive Blues hockey.
Yes, that will be fun. Greg brings up, are there any decent free agent D-men available this season? Not really. The top D-man for this year is Darren Radish, who's a guy that no one has ever heard of until he scored like 20-something goals this year. Yeah, 22 goals and 48 assists on the top power play unit for Tampa Bay. but he was getting paid less than $1 million, and he's 30 years old. So he's on multiple contracts and then just somehow decided to break out. Otherwise, you're looking at a 36-year-old John Carlson, a 29-year-old Rasmus Anderson. That one wouldn't be too terrible. You excited about that one because he's on the Knights?
I mean, I think
price.
Yeah, I think those are both decent. I mean, Carlson for me is something the Blues have always done when they built a roster that's just ready for a Stanley Cup, is they've always added that veteran D. Ode to Jay Bouwmeester, right?
Right.
We don't win that Stanley Cup unless we have a defenseman who we know. I mean, the steady Eddie. Carlson doesn't seem like a bad choice, but again, that would be Parayko leaving, and you're just kind of trusting your team with a bunch of rookies.
Yeah, because then your right side is, well, your top line is probably Broberg and Mayu again. Your second line, if you get rid of Parayko, your second line is Theo Lindstein or maybe Cam Fowler. Maybe you put Cam Fowler there. Cam Fowler and Adam Jiricek, hopefully. Unless you get a right shot defenseman, which could be the Rasmus Anderson. Maybe you go get him.
You're not putting Tucker on your third line, though.
Where were you going to put him?
I was going to put him in the I was going to put him on the second.
Tyler Tucker in the top four? I don't think so. I think Tyler Tucker stays as his bottom six role, and he just goes out there and messes people up and then goes and sits down. We do love ourselves some Tyler Tucker here, but I don't know about a top four role for Tyler Tucker. I do like that every time he gets the puck, he throws it on net. And it's brought up all the time. And then you just know that if Tyler Tucker's got the puck, get to the front of the net. And I think that needs to be more ingrained in maybe our defenseman. Is he doesn't care. He's just going to throw it on net and see what happens. And then everyone knows, like, you don't have to predict, is he going to put it on net? Is he going to dump it? What's going to happen? So, yeah, I think the only problem with that Rasmus Anderson is he might be the guy that gets the biggest contract as far as a defenseman. Because even though Darren Radish blew up this year, he might have trouble getting a big contract because that's the only year he's ever done it. So people might be like, I'll give you 1 or 2 years and let's see if you can do it again. But Rasmus Anderson, he's 29 years old. So this is his last contract. So he's going to go out there. He's going to find someone who can give him 7 years and give him the most amount of money. And that's where he's going to go, especially if he wins himself a cup. If he gets himself a cup, he's going to be like, I don't care. I did my job. But 17 goals, 30 assists this year for Anderson. Not too bad. Yeah, I would not be disappointed in that, but just for the price. Torrey Krug's contract finally comes off next year.
Finally, fuck.
I mean, he's on long-term IR, so it doesn't affect our salary cap in any way, but it's like, dang, that's annoying.
It was just ironic watching him play golf with the Spit and Chicklets boys, knowing that he just really dicked us hard.
That's his ankle. He just can't skate anymore.
I know, but you're still playing golf.
Yeah,
does not require you to be on your feet unless you're paraplegic.
Maybe paraplegic golf.
Fucking shows.
All right. Yeah, that one was rough. All the things we could have done without that Krug contract. A lot of the other, like, Jordan Kyrou type trade ideas that popped up all involved other, like, either high end or high level prospects that are forwards, and then some picks thrown in there. So you have like Isaac Howard, plus a first and a second from Edmonton. Isaac Howard was originally drafted by the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then they did a swap. Isaac Howard for somebody else, Matthew Savoy, I think maybe. So you're getting another forward. I don't even know. This one doesn't even make sense to me, but the Blackhawks trade Frank Nazar, Oliver Moore, and a first-round pick for Jordan Kyrou. That's just too much. You wouldn't get all those. You'd probably get one of those, and then maybe a first. And then another one with Ottawa is you get Dylan Cousins, Fabian Zetterlund, and a 2027 first from Ottawa, which I, again, also think is too much. I think you take the 27 first, you take Fabian Zetterlund, and then Dylan Cousins he's almost in the Jordan Kyrou boat of had a couple good seasons and then has struggled. So might need to go somewhere else. But I think if you're moving Jordan Kyrou, you need to try to find defenseman prospect, maybe even preferably left shot. Actually, it doesn't really matter, left shot or right shot, either way. So, Dakota, we kind of attacked this early on, but maybe Greg was not listening at that point. He says, what are you thinking of Werenski winning the Norris? Did you think it should have been Cale Makar or Evan Bouchard?
I mean, I thought it was going to be Cale Makar, but I think, I mean, with Werenski's stats, I mean, you should have seen the voting. I don't know if you've seen the voting statistics, but he won by a fucking landslide. It wasn't even close. Like, Cale Makar couldn't even hold his jockstrap at that point. So, good on, Zach Werenski. I think if it was going to be one or the other, I was obviously going with Cale Makar, but, I mean, Werenski had an absolute unit of the season. So, good on him. I mean, yeah, he had a hell of a season. I mean, there's nothing to it. So, I am curious to see what the other, awards bring, but with Werenski winning that, do better, Cale Makar. Maybe if you would have done better, you could have led your team past, Western Conference Finals.
All right. Do you think, what are your thoughts on playoffs being involved in the voting? Which I know wouldn't make a whole lot of sense just because Werenski wasn't even in the playoffs. But when you get into the playoffs and then you see like how dominant like Quinn Hughes was and how could injury possibility, yes, how Cale Makar wasn't as great. Could that maybe sway the voting somehow?
I mean, I'm sure it could definitely sway the voting, but I like that we have regular season awards. Because at the end of the day, in the playoffs, you ain't playing for fucking jack shit other than winning the Stanley Cup, and that's what it should be all about. Yeah, it's not personal; it's team. So, and some could say that's the same thing for the regular season. But if you don't have a good personal season, it's hard to have a good team season.
Right. Yeah, I wonder how often players win these major awards, like Werenski winning the Norris, and they don't make the playoffs. I bet that doesn't happen often.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see what the stats on that one would be. Because you would think, like, if you had a good personal season, you would have at least attributed to your teams coming that are with you.
Right. Well, because look at everyone else on that list, like Cale Makar, playoffs, Quinn Hughes, playoffs, Evan Bouchard, playoffs. Who else was on that list?
Should have been those four. At least that was the finalist, but
I got the list here. Rasmus Dahlin, playoffs. Moritz Seider, no playoffs. Lane Hudson, playoffs. Miro Heiskanen, playoffs. Eriks Karlsson, playoffs. Jake Sanderson, playoffs. Darren Radish, playoffs. Matthew Schaefer, no playoffs. Charlie McAvoy, playoffs, and Adam Fox. So it was the top 14, or of all the people who got votes, 3 of them did not make the playoffs. And one of them was the one that won. Or no, sorry, 4 of them. Schaefer, Fox, Werenski, and Seider. But Werenski was the one who won. So how often does the winner not make the playoffs? That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Also, Eric Carlson getting votes. That's crazy. He got one third place vote, which is crazy. But yeah, there was a large amount of 7 different players got first overall votes. Like Quinn Hughes got 5, Lane Hudson got 3, Sider got 5, Bouchard got 12, Dahlin got 13, Cale Makar got 47, and then Werenski got 113 of the first overall votes. So yeah, that's pretty crazy of just the amount of people. But I think if you bring the playoffs in there, I think some of Cale Makar's 47 go to Quinn Hughes.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, Quinn Hughes has put his team on his back. I mean, I think I said that last week and the week before. That dude changes every team he's been on.
Right.
Good or bad. He's made them exponentially better. I mean, look at what he did in the Olympics. He was the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Hughes boys are good.
All right.
All right. Anything else? Should we pack it up and go watch some hockey?
Let's do it. Go Knights, go.
Go Knights, go. One last question here from Greg. I have not either researched this or looked it up, but have you seen anything about Alex Petrangelo's injury?
Yeah, he was forced to retire.
He's still technically, he still has a contract, but yeah, I don't think. And last time I read, whenever the injury originally came out, it was he's pretty much done. But if Petro had his choice, he wasn't. And then I have not updated myself on if he's ever made the decision of, oh, you're right, I probably shouldn't be done. But I think he's still got a couple years or a year. Did his end the same year that Krug's did, or was he 2 away from that? Yeah, so next year is technically his last year with a contract.
I forgot. Did he sign a longer term contract than Krug? Because I thought Krug and him had almost identical.
No, they were pretty much the same. 7 years. His was $8.8 million, where Krug was, I think, 7.5 or 6.5. The classic Blues defenseman contract. Yeah, 6.5. Oh, you want to play defenseman for the Blues? Well, we're going to pay you $6.5 million. Deal. I'll go do that. So yeah. All right, then let's wrap it up. Make sure you guys check out Scooter's Coffee, Hughes Custom Design, and Imprint Labs. Give our friends at Interstate 70 Sports Media a follow for all of your St. Louis Cardinals and Battlehawks needs. And we'll keep you guys updated on the St. Louis Blues and the rest of the Stanley Cup Finals. So we only got a couple weeks here. At the end of June will be the draft, and then early July free agency. So we will get into all the prospects and everything, and then the potential of any free agents coming the St. Louis Blues way. So we'll hit you up, or hit us up, next week. We'll be on either Monday or Tuesday. I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right. We are out of here. See you, everybody.
See ya.